We just had on Jeff Van Gundy, and his brother yesterday went off that, fouling Drummond, that's not good for the sport, and Van Gundy said it's ridiculous, 46 minutes, one rule, the final 2 minutes, another rule. Are you okay with the rules the way they are now? Your team's a great free throw shooting team, but do you think it's good for the sport, or should they change the rule about hack a shack and bang a drum?
Yeah, I mean, because we don't have that problem.
Right.
I honestly haven't, spent a lot of time trying to decide if it's good or bad. I mean, I played with Shaq for many years, and, teams at times would try to do that as well. And, he missed some, but there were a lot of really important times he would make them. And so, whether it's bad for the sport or not, I mean, I think that's a debate we could go to in a lot of different areas.
Right.
So, I mean, I think we just try to stay focused on the parts we can control, and for now, we just try to make ours so that this is not our problem.
How about the whole philosophy? This is also something we talked about with Jeff of fouling late with the 3-point lead. I mean, how difficult is it to determine to get him to the foul line to take two when you've got the 3-point cushion, but not wanting the danger of fouling him while he's in motion? So, what ends up being the general philosophy for you?
And was that a consideration yesterday?
Yeah, it's a tricky balance. The players are so good that you're playing against, and they also kind of know these situations and whether or not you need to foul or want to foul in that spot. And in a lot of games, it's really game by game and the situation and who's on the floor. It's always for consideration. Last night, we chose not to. We played it overall pretty good, and I think if Chris stays on the ground and contests Gordon Hayward from the floor, the game's over. But young player made a mistake there, and we had to go to overtime to win it. So I'm definitely open to it. Our staff, we're open to fouling when we need to, and we'll keep assessing it based on the game and the time and score.
I wonder, Derek, is the reluctance to do it by some coaches, and you can't speak for those coaches, only yourself, is it the fear of, even if you do the foul correctly, that the guy could miss a free throw, they get a rebound, and then you look bad, and he ends up tying it anyway? Is it that the guy's going to go into the act of shooting and give up 3 free throws, or is it having to explain if it doesn't work out in the press conference?
No, I mean, it's always about the actual basketball part, not about having to, explain or try and justify it to other people,
right.
After the fact. It's just during the game, depending on your matchups and the situation. A big part of it is believing that your guys can actually stop a team without having to foul them to stop them. That's one of the biggest parts of it. And, there are a number of things that could potentially, go awry, whether you do it or don't do it. If you don't do it, he makes it, people question your decision. If you do it and you end up losing, people question your decision. So you can never base it in that area. I think it really is a situational thing that you have to assess based on your opponent, whether they have timeouts left or not. How good a free throw shooting team are you? And we're a good one. So I think it's something we can definitely look to use at times.
All right. How tough was it, a decision to have Porzingis play yesterday on the injured foot?
Not tough at all because of, what we understand about, the soreness and what actually is going on. And, at this point, there hasn't been anything that medically has been seen that in terms of endangering or jeopardizing himself further or injuring his foot more. So, I don't think it was a difficult decision where we had to, have a separate conversation. We're always going to err on the side of protecting our players' health, and if a guy needs to sit out to do that, that's what we'll do. We'll very rarely, if ever, jeopardize our players' health, for the sake of winning or trying to win a game.
All right, we're talking with Derek Fisher, the head coach of the Knicks, and your team's at 500, and one of its great skills is it's a top free throw shooting team in the league, and it's also far and away above any other team in clutch free throws in the last 5 minutes of a game. This is not by accident. How much do you guys work on this during practice, and do you have games that you play to intensify the practices so that the free throws really mean something?
Yeah, we try and practice our free throws in a a more competitive game-like situation when we put guys at the free throw line. And so whether it's through actual scrimmages and things that we do, where we want to make sure it feels like a real game situation, or other days where we trying to have competitive segments or competitions, where guys have to really take it seriously, and it's not just make 50 and then tell us how many you made.
Right.
So we try to help the guys be in those situations as much as possible, and so far, I think it's helping us to do the job once we get in the game.
So, Derek, are you where you thought you'd be? Have you exceeded expectations? Do you think your team can do more? I mean, how do you feel right now at 500?
Yeah, I think there's always an ability to do more. There's, although we strive for perfection or to be excellent, very rarely do you get there. It's not really a destination. It's kind of this continuous journey. So, I feel good about where we are because I think our team is moving in the right direction. I think as an organization we're moving in the right direction, but we're definitely pushing for more. That doesn't necessarily always show up in wins and losses. In actuality, those should just take care of themselves. And we're moving in that direction, but we have a long way to go. So I like our team. I like the direction we're heading, but we for sure have a lot of work to do and a long way to go in order to get better and accomplish some goals over time.
Derek, I've always been a fan of Carmelo. I appreciate the things that he's great at. He's one of the great scorers in the NBA, but this year I watch him and I see an expansion of his game. I think he's being much more generous with the basketball. He made 2 unbelievable passes, one cross-court yesterday that resulted in a 3 by Aflalo. Do you see this growth? Is this something that you've spoken to him about, or am I seeing things? Because it looks like he's expanding his game.
Well, I think that, Carmelo is a guy that can basically operate in just about any environment. And once he learns the environment, then he can find success, just about in any way that he needs to. And so I just think that over time, in particular this season, with him being healthier than he was last season, he's finding some sense of purpose and comfort in this environment in terms of how we play, where his teammates are going to be open, where his shots are coming from. And as he's more comfortable in that, it's easier to make plays. And last year, I just think that, he was uncomfortable as a new system. He physically wasn't healthy. And so I think it's a combination of those things. I think he's actually doing what he's always been able to do. I think it's just as a team, he's finding himself in the positions more often to make the right play.